Alright guys, today I want to share with you some of my experience of what it's like to train at 40 and pretty much what I'm expecting beyond. So with that said, today's video is dedicated to all you guys out there over 40 who either aren't sure what you should be doing in the gym now, or maybe you think that, because you're over 40, the time to, be in really great shape has passed. Not true. But if that sounds like you, then of course you're gonna like the video, so why not already go ahead, give it a thumbs up. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is, obviously, as far as I'm concerned, you can be in great shape at any age, or pretty much any age. And for sure you can be in great shape in your 40s, your 50s, maybe even your 60s and beyond. But you need smarter approaches now, for sure. And you can definitely, be the guy who looks better than people half your age in the gym, guaranteed. But let's talk about how. So if you ask me what the top 5 things are that you pretty much must do, here's what I think they are. So the first one is, at this point, taking control of your stresses or stressors, and importantly, of your stress responses. Number 2, sleep more. Maybe that should be number 1. Train smarter. We'll get into what that is. And then, of course, I want you to think about what you're actually putting into your body, what foods you're eating, and then importantly, spend more time on your recovery. In truth, if you can dial in the first 2, the sleep and the stress, then you are way ahead of the game already, and the other things are going to be a little bit easier to tackle. Alright, so stresses, stress responses. A lot can fall into this category. Obviously, any life situations that you find emotionally stressful, that's what we're sort of used to thinking about, but also your workouts, because if you really think about it, your workouts are a stressor that you place on your body because you want it to adapt, right? More to come on that later and how to deal with workouts as stress. Talking about things like sympathetic tone, parasympathetic tone, heart rate, breathing rate, HRV, and so on. Important things, but it gets a little bit complicated. So just leave me a comment if you want more information on that stuff, or send me a DM over on Instagram. Sleep. Seriously, this should probably be the number 1 thing. Except I guess sleep kind of counts as managing your stress, as well as it comes under recovery. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But now, let's talk about how to train. What exercises you should do, how frequently, at what level of intensity, and so on. Then later on we'll chat about nutrition, and then finally we'll talk about supplements. And yes, I recognize that, most of us are tempted to start with the supplements, but really, those should be at the end. That's the last thing. When you're in a gym, all right, before training, what should you be doing? So if you are like me and you spent many years, 10, 15, 20, jumping right in, not stretching, not warming up, now's the time to start, paying attention to that stuff. So do more than a generic warm-up, do some light, passive, and active stretching. Move through the patterns that you're going to be using for your exercises. Watch out for any tight muscles and focus more on those. Maybe, get a foam roller. If you have the resources, or, if one's available, a massage gun, then do what I call activation movement. So basically, figure out, what your active range of motion for each muscle group is going to be. Make sure you can then generate good contractions at the lengthened range of that movement, or the lengthened position of the muscle that you're targeting. The sweet spot, of course, the mid-range, and then even in the shortened position. If you're getting good contractions all the way along there and you have a good idea of, what your active range of motion is, then you're good. Before you work out, tap into your body, try to have a sense of what your energy levels are like, any soreness, any limitations in your range of movement, and so on. Check those out and modify your workout accordingly. And, slow things down, pay attention, because if something's not feeling quite right and you push it to 100%, then that's kind of a recipe for disaster. Things can go wrong pretty quickly, pretty suddenly, and then, you don't live to lift another day. Alright, now you're in the gym, let us talk about your programming, or what you're going to be doing day over day, week over week, month over month. Now you need to be smart about how you periodize your programs. If gaining muscle is one of your objectives and you've been training for a long time, then one of the keys is you're gonna need high volume training, right? For sure. But particularly as we get older, it's a little bit more difficult to sustain high volume training at the same time as high intensity and high frequency. So you're gonna want to periodize those three things. You don't want to pull all three levels or have them all at 100% at the same time, because that's a pretty good recipe for disaster and injury. And again, you won't live to lift another day, or you just won't be lifting very well. What exercises are you gonna select? How do you choose those? Well, obviously it depends on a range of things, where you are in your training cycle, how you're feeling generally. Still do the major compound movements, but minimize them a little bit, bring them back down, and definitely do them earlier in your workouts when you have more energy and can put more into them. Avoid any exercises that put your joints into positions you can't control. You really don't want to compromise your joints at this point. Now, I say this a lot, and this is particularly true the older you get. You're gonna need a little bit more conscious thought on every exercise, and so you want to make sure that you are setting yourself up well to target the muscle that you're intending to. And then when you're thinking about performing your exercises, a couple things. So the first thing is do a couple sets at a lighter weight, sort of to warm up and make sure the movement pattern feels good, overall joint stability feels good, and then progress up to your working weight and crank out the working sets that you need to according to your program. Perform each rep contracting as hard as you possibly can, but again, staying within that active range of motion. And when you're actually doing these, it's probably a good idea to minimize how explosive the concentric portion is. So yes, explosive or relatively rapid concentric contractions are good for hypertrophy style training, but it can definitely place additional strain on ligaments and tendons. And so, like I said, yours have seen their fair share of wear and tear over the years. Recovery. Now, just a couple words on this because my last video was completely dedicated to recovery. So head on over, check that out after this video. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that's going to apply specifically to you, so go give it a watch. The one thing that I will say here is that try to take a little bit more time for active recovery measures. Find different ways to restore what's called length tension relationship of your muscles. So, stretching, foam rolling, just general active cool down strategies are going to be beneficial for you. Get a massage, do some yoga, that sort of thing. On to the nutrition side of stuff. So you'll hear people say, and it's not wrong, and maybe you'll also completely assume that your metabolism at this point is just destined to be sluggish from now on, and that's not true. Yes, you're going to expect a little bit of a slowing of your metabolic rate, but it's still possible to keep it humming along pretty well, so that you can eat enough to sustain or maintain as well as gain some muscle while remaining relatively lean. But you definitely have a bit less leeway as you get older with the calories that you put in. So really, well, not only calories, but sort of the quality of food that you put in. So you really want to focus again on minimally processed or unprocessed foods for 80, 90, 95% of your diet, and keep any changes in your calories slow and steady. A key thing as you get older is your protein requirements are going to just generally increase with age. So that's something you keep an eye on, increasing the protein that you consume each day. And that's particularly true because as we age, unfortunately, there's a tendency to a decline in lean body mass. But the good thing is that your training is going to sort of flip that switch in the opposite direction. Is going to help you to stimulate maintaining that lean muscle tissue and even gain a little bit more. But that rate of muscle gain is obviously not going to be anywhere near the same as it was when you were younger. All right, finally, supplements or supplementation. So this is just the icing on the cake, guys. This is the last lever that you should be pulling. Everything else should be dialed in above. What should you take? Well, creatine is a solid choice for supporting your workouts and muscle gains. Something like a daily multivitamin is usually a reasonable choice. Vitamin D3, also a good choice, particularly if you live in a temperate climate and you're not getting very much sunlight throughout the year or at all months during the year. I mean, I don't have such a problem here in Hawaii, but still take vitamin D3 when I actually remember to do it. You can think about things that can boost your energy levels a little bit even before, you know, your workout. So caffeine, or if you're into mushrooms and not those mushrooms, maybe some lion's mane. That's a pretty good option as well. A little note about the caffeine. You know, if you're particularly sensitive to caffeine, you really want to limit that later in the day so that, you know, your sleep quality isn't affected. Take care of sleep first. Something in the evening to support relaxation so that you get into, you know, a nice sleepy, relaxed state before bed. Something like, again, mushrooms, but not those mushrooms, reishi. Give that a try. CBD oil, I'm not the expert. You know, I've tried a couple of different kinds. Some people really report great recovery, good sleep. So, you know, why not give that a try? All right, guys, that is it for today. Just wanted to share a little bit of my thoughts about what it's like training at 40 right now and what I assume, hopefully, it will be like training beyond. Thank you to everyone out there who continues to support the channel with your channel subscription and notification subscriptions. I appreciate it. Of course, thank you for helping me to share with you as you share the videos with others. As usual, show the channel some love, give the video a like, drop some comments below for any questions or comments you might have, anything that you might want me to tackle in a future video. But until next week, guys, until the next video, aloha from beautiful Kauai.